Hey everybody, welcome back to my Let's Play. Here we are. Like I said, this is the final area. We've been here for a little while, and I want to save about 2 or 3 more times, just because there's kind of a few sort of tricky events that are going to happen. So I'm just gonna, like I've been doing throughout this Let's Play, take a rather cautious approach. Make sure I don't die and rinse and repeat. Even if I do, I'll just edit it out, but still. So, like I said, we're in the home stretch of this Let's Play. There's just a few more tasks to take care of. And I'm just kind of thinking now, in this moment, just kind of looking at modern horror games, and I do like a few. Don't get me wrong, I do like a few. Like, I do like The Last of Us, for example. I haven't played The Evil Within yet, but I would imagine that I would like it. Maybe, I'm not sure. I know that my boy Shinji Mikami was all over that, so it'll be interesting to see what he did with this game. But there's many modern horror games that I just couldn't get into, and I felt weird for a little while because I tell people without hesitation, for example, Dead Space, and I've only played the first Dead Space. I know there's 3 of those games, at least up to this point, and I played Dead Space. I beat it, so I played the whole game, and I just could not get into it. And the thing is that it's not a horrible game. It's just that I just couldn't get into it. I think at this point, I'm kind of settled with the fact that I just prefer older games versus newer games, and horror is no exception to that. Every time I tell people about my reaction to Dead Space, though, everybody's just kind of like, they have that moment where they're just like, what, are you kidding me? Dead Space was an awesome game, and I try to explain to them, it's not that Dead Space is a bad game, it's just that Dead Space is just not my kind of game. If I could choose between, for example, static camera angles, having to figure out how to, oh god, this enemy in this room, how to manage my inventory and deal with puzzles and all that stuff, and I can't remember, it's actually been quite a while since I played Dead Space, so I can't really remember it, but I just remember I could not get into it. I mean, the visuals were cool, and I actually like the deaths. The death scenes in Dead Space, they were pretty graphic. Before Dead Space, I think the most gruesome deaths that I saw in a game belonged to, in a horror game that is, belonged to Resident Evil 4. And it's interesting that these enemies, these chimeras, I think that's their name, I'm not sure, please correct me if I'm wrong, they kind of disintegrate when they die, which reminds me of Resident Evil 4, which is supposed to be more realistic. And I liked how the ganados, which were humans, disintegrate as well. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's not realistic to me. But I like the death scenes in Dead Space a lot. They were really, really gruesome. This is perfect. I think this is the second MO disc, and I know where the third one is. The disc reader, excuse me. There we go. So we're on track, which is good. I remember one death scene in particular, that Isaac, that's the guy's name, right? The protagonist's name, Isaac, that he can experience where, what is it? Oh my gosh. I always try to describe things, but I don't know. Basically, I think his head gets decapitated somehow, and then the enemy, whatever, it's like this really tiny enemy, kind of inserts itself into the top of his neck, and he starts kind of controlling Isaac, so Isaac starts moving like a puppet, like a possessed puppet, and that's like the creepiest thing I've seen. So for all the flack that I give Dead Space, that death scene right there is very creepy, and I really enjoy that a lot. So there you go. Now, I have no idea how Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 are as games, but I felt like my experience with the Dead Space franchise was sufficient with the first one. It was just it was okay for me, but I just it didn't really float my boat like other things did. So with that in mind, kind of thinking about modern horror, like I said, there are a few modern horror games that I like or that I envision that I might like. But I'm really starting to think about going into indie games a little bit. I really have not played any indie games, and I feel like at this point I'm doing myself a disservice. I see so many let's plays. As a matter of fact, I think I see more let's plays. I don't know if they're more prevalent or not, but I just happen to watch more let's plays of indie games than I do of like mainstream games, because as I said, mainstream modern games just don't really appeal to me as much. So I'm watching a lot of people doing a lot of indie let's plays, especially indie horror games, and a lot of them are very, very intriguing. Like, there's this game that somebody played. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the word correct because it's a word I don't really use. Sepulcher, which is, I won't go into too much detail, but not to spoil it, so that if you guys haven't played it and you wish to play it, please do so. But it's a very short game, and it has a very interesting kind of premise to it, and I really liked when people did let's plays of it, and it was a very, very interesting experience, and I liked it a lot. It's definitely something I would want to play myself, even though I know I already spoiled the ending. Like I said, a short game, you spend like 15-20 minutes on it. There's an empty capsule. So begins a very interesting side quest here, by the way, which is absolutely absent, completely absent in the director's cut version, but I kind of like it because it presents an interesting challenge. Now, I know I made this comment when I did the director's cut let's play, but I have no idea if these enemies, these weird like, oh gosh, I call them chimeras. These weird enemies, I don't know if they're infinite. Not infinite, but they just kind of keep coming. I guess that's the definition of infinite now, isn't it? They just kind of keep spawning and keep attacking you. I don't know. I haven't really heard anyone say yay or nay to that, but I just felt like I didn't really want to waste my ammo dealing with them. I mean, I try to run from them unsuccessfully most of the time, but I spend such a brief period of time here that it's just, I just prefer not to waste my ammo on them. So this is the third and final ammo disc station. So I should be able to unlock the door now, which is nice. Alright. So for now, I'm actually just gonna, there's more things to do in this area, obviously, but for now, I'm just gonna leave and take care of some other things. That kind of, that sort of thing, that sort of approach, and I'll be back shortly, though. So the thing for me is that I guess I don't know if it's old-fashioned, but no, I don't think old-fashioned is the right word. I think I'm kind of a very set in my ways type of person. So because I grew up playing games on consoles, I just enjoy playing games on consoles. I've tried playing games on PC, and for me, it felt that the keyboard and mouse were kind of unnatural in terms of controlling a character or something like that. Whereas I'm sure for many PC gamers, they can't imagine any other way of moving in a game or controlling a game. I don't know, but I would imagine that I'm, given the type of person that I am, had I grown up I'm sure in an alternate universe, I grew up playing PC games, so I would imagine that I would be a strictly PC gamer. And I might have tried a console game or two, and I would have said, no, I prefer PCs. That's just the kind of person that I am, kind of set in my ways, that kind of thing. So that's why a lot of games that I see people play, that I see people do let's plays on, that are strictly PC, they look like really great games, but I'm just kind of like, I really don't want to kind of deal with PC. And it's also like, if I want to do a let's play of a PC game, the thing is that I'm so accustomed to using a capture card to record my console. For example, here I'm doing my Xbox 360. Many of my other Let's Plays were on my PlayStation 3. You'll see other consoles in later Let's Plays. So I have my setup, and believe me, I am not the most tech savvy person in existence. So it really took me a long time to get the setup that I have now. I've spent a lot of time and did a lot of experimentation with a lot of capture cards, for example. For those of you that record games on console, you know exactly what a capture card is. Honestly, so I'm using the Elgato, and this is my favorite capture card. I have not had a single issue with it. There was one sound issue that I had with one of my Let's Plays, and I thought it was the capture card at first, but then I realized it was a memory issue. So I realized maybe if I quit a lot of programs that are running in the background, I didn't even realize they were running, that might help the problem. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So that was a relief. So other than that, I've really had no issue. But every other capture card that I've attempted to use, I've always had some issue with for some reason. God knows. And like I said, this is like my I think this is like my third or fourth capture card that I'm on. So I'm hoping it's my last, you know what I mean? So I didn't have to come to this door now. I could have come here later, but I just wanted to show this this moment, this event here.
Jill?
Chris, you're alive!
Of course I'm alive. Jill, there's something big going down, and I don't think we're part of the equation.
I have to get you out of here. Ugh, it won't open. Wait, I'll be back to get you out.
Okay, no sightseeing though.
I absolutely love that scene because Chris, based on what I know in this game, Chris should know a lot more than he tells Jill, but he decides to be cryptic. Oh, there's something big going down. Not who's behind it, not Umbrella this or whatever, even though Jill knows Umbrella by now what's going on with them. But come on, how did Chris get in the cell? Who put him in there? Does he not? Maybe, well, you know, maybe he got knocked out. You know what? Maybe they could work around that. Maybe Chris got knocked out and his captor picked him up, and next thing you know, he woke up in his cell, so he has no idea. But it's still a strange comment, because if he has no, like, let's say he was knocked out and he came to in the cell, wouldn't his comment to Joe be like, I have no idea how I got here? Something along those lines. So check this out right here. The main ingredient, nitro. Running can cause your shit to be really messed up. And they don't mention this either, but shooting also. That's a pro tip for you guys. If you've never played this part of the game, please don't shoot. That's why I unequipped the shotgun, to avoid that temptation. You really, really don't want to do anything violent at this point. You just walk all the way from here to that area where I picked up the capsule, the empty capsule, which is obviously not empty anymore. So this area, honest to God, when I first walked through this area, I thought that the zombies were going to be replaced by chimeras, which would have been really annoying, especially because you have no choice but to walk. So thankfully there's still zombies here, which is nice. So they're a lot easier to dodge. So it's not that far of a walk, but you have to be careful. And there you go. But anyway, going back to Chris's dialogue, it's a bit strange. Did he know who his captor was? If not, and if so, why didn't he say to Joe, look, watch out for person X? I understand for the sake of the game, they're trying to paint a certain picture for you. And that's why Chris's dialogue has to be cryptic, but it's really silly when you think about it in the game. Kind of in the universe there. So, I'm almost there. Thankfully, it's in this first room, and the game could have been cruel, and they could have forced you to walk through these chimera-filled areas to get to the room all the way in the back to put the thing in, but thankfully, it's right here. Thankfully, that's pretty merciful. And I actually got really lucky here. I didn't get attacked for some reason. It's not necessary to use it now. Well, bullshit. It is necessary to use it now. Yeah. No fuel. There you go. Okay. So thank God that's over. So now I have to explore the rest of this area. I didn't go through one of the doors before because I just kind of left this area. So I don't know if you guys have any experience with indie games, indie horror games. I played a few. I played a few games on Steam. Are they indie? I don't know. I feel like they are. There was one game that I played called Home. I think I have a very soft spot in my heart for like pixelated horror games. You would think they wouldn't be so scary, but I think they're scarier than games with like ultra HD graphics. You know what I mean? Okay. So the elevator is good to go. Oh my god. Great. Getting throttled around here. Jeez. These enemies are more annoying than anything. I'm just gonna... God, look at him scuttling about. That's... Ugh, gosh. Actually, what would those enemies be? What is the... Two questions. What is the origin of these enemies? What are they? And how did they become these things? What animal were they before? And two, why aren't they in that little silly pre-PowerPoint presentation that we saw earlier? They had all the enemies except that one, the Chimera. Who do they have? They had the hunters, they had the dogs, they had the sharks. But they were missing the chimeras. They're missing some other enemies too, but I can't think of the plant, for crying out loud. Plant 42. Why didn't they have zombies in the presentation? I don't know. I'd fire the person that made that presentation because it was very incomplete. F-. Alright, so I'm gonna save because I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through that adventure again. As fun as it was, I don't really feel like transporting fuel again. So I'm gonna save because some very significant events are coming up very shortly. Alright. Transferring data once again. Don't know why, but hey. That is quite alright. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and equip myself. Because like I said, significant things are gonna happen. So I have to make sure I'm adequately prepared. So... Are those all my magnum rounds? Really? I guess they are. I thought I had more, but... Let me see, no. Oh, there you go. Hey. Okay. Now I feel a little more confident, right? Yeah, this is just as a precaution. I think the Magnum should be enough, but just in case it's not, I have the grenade launcher as my backup plan. Alright, so that is that. So now that the elevator's working, which is great, I'm gonna go that way. I don't know if there was a zombie there before. In the director's cut version, there's a zombie by that elevator until you activate it. Then it disappears if you don't kill it. But I didn't check.
Jill.
Barry,
You could have at least waited up for me, you know?
let's go.
I could have waited for him. Meanwhile, he's like, go on ahead before? That's really confusing, Barry. Come on now. Alright. So, what lies below? You're gonna have to find out in the next video. Alright. Until next time.